Good afternoon. I am mainly speak about this afternoon on the operation evolution that we have. I'm not an operational guy, so I'm sorry for that. But I run fast on several things that we made. Some is known, part is new, and some is not yet launched and is completely new. Okay, we have in Italy, we are working in a complex world. Complex world means that to serve our, for example, set-top box, we have a complexity on the network. We don't manage the network, so we have a complexity. To save money and to, let me say, satisfy our customer, we have, our mission is to simplify the IP. That for a lot of people is a fantastic word, but in the reality is a nightmare, no? Because I personally prefer the old traditional television. I'm starting to work on the analog world that is 10 times better, was 10 times better than today. But okay, the first element we introduced in our complex ecosystem was CDN selection. That is complex, not complex, but in any case, it's a tools that is based on today on microservice. I don't know if it was easy things to do it in microservice and the setup, but for sure now for a maintenance is more easy to work in a microservice world versus the original approach that we implemented. And this typically is dedicated to reroute each customer in according to what's happened on the device, on the network, on the channel, and so on. The point, we have introduced a definition of quality of service for our customer. That is the other piece of the puzzle. So that obviously is part of the brain of our CDN selection. And that, again, this is mainly oriented to collect information from the network side. We are not owner, again, of the network, but we have a good relation with the different ISP. From the ISP, we collect information. For the CDN, we collect information. For a device that is connected to our backend, we collect information, and so on. And that is a collapse in a brain that develop this quality of service. To improve the CDN distribution, we have created a CDN ranking that is a sort of elaboration that we made on the data that not simply is a static index. We don't insert the name, but was an extraction on the real world. We are using currently 6 different CDN. That is not through technology, but is a CDN that means or technology or ESP that use a specific CDN. And every time in each moment, we select the best CDN to serve a specific customer. We had the capability also to have to move the customer from one routing to another routing in the middle of the midgrass that you see before. The point is that is one part. That is sorry, I'm really fast because I have 1 or 2 videos. So otherwise, the video is not. We have not time for the video. About the cloud, we are today. We have taken a decision. We have typically. I'm personally a drastic man, so I prefer to select one thing. For example, we launch this week 4K. Why not before? Because simply we are waiting to launch just with HDR, not without, for example. That is a typical decision that we try to drive in our company just to maximize the technology. The same for the cloud. We have decided not to work with the private cloud, but we have directly moved to the public cloud. Initially, that was to move our transcoding that was mainly on our premises. The first approach was also to move all process on the cloud, but obviously the cost to move the huge content on the cloud, the 5,000 content month that we have on the cloud is the cost is not so interesting, and also because the value of the activity made on the cloud is nothing respect to the pipe. So we decided to create in this case, a private but internal cloud system, mini cloud system that speak with the, today we are working on a multi-cloud now, but when we start we have one public cloud. And thanks to an orchestrator that unfortunately we have to develop internally, because at the time that we select this decision, no software was available on the market that can support our need to scale in according to the needs. The needs is not predictable, because some actor can dead in the night, and we need to publish hundreds of titles in a few minutes, or in any case hours. So we developed this, and again, also in this case, we select the solution of microservice, and specifically on the Kubernetes. To satisfy, again, some specific need of our customer, in particular, I'm not so a big fan of low latency on the IP. We have to create a low latency on IP simply because we decided 3 years ago to start to create a companion media engagement for the customer. In particular, starting with the 360, with some other view of the show, mainly on the live show. And our business required to have low latency. That means a sort of synchronization, not perfect, but near to be perfect, synchronization with our DTH transmission that, as you know, Sky is mainly in Italy, is a DTH provider. So we implemented a solution. We serve directly through our CDN, because one of the 6 CDN that was mentioned in the previous slides is own CDN, and we have mainly work just to squeeze the point in using the open chunk and reduce the chunk to less, to the 2 seconds. That is the point. The only feature that we inserted is, while in the first year that we launched 3 years ago, we stay in this situation, but with also the behavior of the network and on the devices, we have also introduced some sophistication, and we have now modulated the latencies in according to the capacity of the device, network, and other element that was shown in the previous slide. So it's now is a more dynamic. So if you have the best connection and you have no problem in the reception, you have the same latency of satellite. Otherwise, the latency is more flexible, with obviously a limit that is considered a marketing limit, just to not represent nothing, something that is not usable by the customer. The artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is one element that is, in any case, is the same DNA of all indication that and information and other topics that you saw before. So how we can manage all data that we have. Data, I don't know if I don't like the word big data, because it's more IT oriented, but in any case, to manage this amount of data to do something. On the network data and the other parameter that we collect, we mainly use to drive correctly the package on the network, while the video artificial intelligence is mainly used today to help customer and internal process. How? For example, the baby watching is a more classic, so I don't want to spend a lot of time. We have a process that automatically identifies for our series that is mainly, obviously, series, but it can be also a series of cartoons and so on, a way to give the possibility to the customer to jump between one episode to another episode, identify exactly the moment of the credits. We are using that we are working to use the data that we extract from the video for several things. Some is more popular, some others less. But I'd like to present to you two things. For example, this is an activity that we are working on for the Formula One and MotoGP, our motor, to help our production. Is not usable, sorry for the video, but is probably is the frame rate, but okay. So the concept of this video is simply to identify, is to simplify the concept that we are working to extract information. I stop it because otherwise is not so good. The point is to extract information that is typically used for our production team to have exactly the moment that is, for example, if who are past who, and so on, because it's not easy, in particular in some events like MotoGP, when there is a lot of moto altogether, and there is not so clear who are in the right position. And if you are waiting, the listing that appear from the MotoGP is not to take exactly the moment, and you have to spend time to come back to the right frame. In this way, you have exactly the recognition of the right frame and help the post-production. That's one example. Another example is also to have more data to be inserted in the archive. That is a simple example about the usage of, not for the customer today, but for our internal workflow. Another thing that is more oriented to the quality optimization, that is, I'm Italian. We have Italy is we have in the DNA the quality for the dress, for the food, and also for the video, and we are continuously a push from our marketing to improve the quality, obviously without spend money, but that is another point. So we are starting now to work in a concept to move from in a concept to have a constant quality to the customer, and to ask, to give out the idea of what means the good quality to the people that decide for our customer. So the instrument is now is an example there is also a company that help us. Okay, typically for all this technology, I finish it, but okay. Also this technology is not, we are not speaking about 4K HDR, is a simple HD channel that we had. Unfortunately, it's not perfect, the reproduction of the video, but you have the possibility to understand before the current HD signal and the new HD signal that is more more bright, let me say, without touch the color map. Is a standard color map, and how we made it. One of the company that help us to do it is in the room, that is Spectral Edge, for example, because for any type of technology an innovation, we typically work with the startup. Also for the artificial intelligence that you saw before, we have in collaboration with the Italian startup. For the last one that we have not yet launched, is one of the point is a new things that we have working to close for the launch soon. But the concept is part of the concept of how we can improve the quality to the signal through the data that is part of the video. Spectral Edge that is a UK startup, is helping us to do that simply take, without change our workflow, we take the signal from the SDI, because we are speaking about the linear, and they have capability to improve, clean up the signal and give more color to the signal. That obviously, as for HDR in 4K, to have a better color, better contrast also in HD means 50% of the quality. So with that, I finish my presentation. I hope that I respect the timing, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Do we have any questions? Wait for the microphone.
Yeah, hi Massimo. About the latency.
Yes.
You were showing sports afterwards. You also said you thought latency over IP you're not a fan of. So could you just clarify what is your latency today, Sky Italia, over IP, and what's your target?
Okay. The latency today on the IP that is different between the different services that we have, but typically latency is between 20 seconds to 50 seconds. That is according to Sky Go or Now TV, or we have Sky over IP. So in accordance to the three different players that we use, we are using different chunk length and different latency. The point is, if the latency point is, if you have the capability to arrive to exactly latency of the main broadcast, that is the digital terrestrial, so the massive broadcast, okay, is a good thing. But if you arrive to 10 seconds, personally, who is the difference? 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 50 seconds, at the end of the story, okay, except for the betting point of view, but in Italy we don't have this point. But in general, if it's just 3 seconds, if you are watching the football match, is a nightmare, no? For me, if I am the CEO of the company and you propose me the 3-second latency, for me is nothing. It's okay, good job, but it's not enough. Because I tried to give you the answer to my CEO when we launched in the 2006 the HD. We showed HD on the first H2C4 encoding and take time, more than MPEG-2, and the answer is not that is good, is low. So the point is, because arrived to 1 second after the MPEG-2. So the point is, for the customer experience, if you want to do right, to use the correctly low latency, you have to match the main broadcasting that you have in your country. Otherwise, the risk is that really to have a good job, but it's not enough. If you are in the main events that you hear for the other apartment that go, and you arrive 1 second later, sometimes it's better to arrive at 30 seconds later because you don't understand what's happened and you hope that is another match.
Thank you very much, Massimo.
Thank you.